One of the ancient world's most astonishing structures is shrouded in mystery, perhaps because it was never discovered. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are one of the ancient world's 7 wonders. But were they actually real? Let's find out. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we will discuss one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. If you like this video, then make sure to subscribe for more videos about ancient archaeological findings. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are thought to have been located in the ancient Mesopotamian city of Babylon. They have often been called the first true botanical garden. Nothing about them has been proven except their existence within an ancient text written by Greek historians and archaeologists. Many scholars believe that they may only exist in legends. And if so, where might they be and what might they look like? It's time to travel back in time to the 6th century BC to find out. In order to understand the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, we must understand where they stood. You see, Babylon was situated in what is today Iraq, located around 60 miles north of the Persian Gulf. It was a prominent cultural, economic, and military center of the ancient world. Nebuchadnezzar II, the king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, ruled over Babylon during its golden age between 605 and 562 BC. He is credited with building the Hanging Gardens for his wife Amynis, the daughter of the king of Media. There are 2 versions of how he came to build them. In the first version, Amynis was distraught at the loss of her homeland's lush greenery after moving to the arid plains of Babylon. As a surprise gesture, Nebuchadnezzar ordered the construction of gardens that would remind her of her homeland. The other version holds that Nebuchadnezzar built the gardens to appease his wife after she found snakes in her bed. Either way, these legendary gardens were described as being unlike any others in the world. The ancient Greeks did not get along with the Babylonians, and therefore, many Greek writers describe the gardens as a great insult to the Greeks. These writings say that the gardens were filled with all kinds of plants and trees, including palm trees and all kinds of flowers, which were brought in from distant lands. We know that there were also water features and statues in the gardens, as well as 4 levels or tiers that could be reached by stairs. Unfortunately, there is no evidence that the Hanging Gardens existed except for ancient text describing them. All the images that you see of the Hanging Gardens are artistic renderings based on descriptions from the ancient world. The earliest written record of the Hanging Gardens comes from a letter by the Greek ambassador to Babylon. Another description was written by Greek historian Herodotus, who wrote about the gardens in the 5th century BC. His description is quite detailed and paints a picture of the wonder of the ancient world. Herodotus wrote, "In the first place, a light colonnade surrounds the whole structure, and through the colonnade, visitors pass into the gardens for the whole circuit of the terrace. It is surrounded by a low wall, and in the middle of this wall is a door made of cedar wood. Through this entrance, the visitor passes into the gardens. On either side of the gate, there are 2 statues of gigantic size, each holding a flower in its hands, which appear to be made of gold, though they are really of metal, and the metal has been gilt. So far as the art of the sculptor is concerned, these figures can hardly be excelled. Each statue is 20 cubits high, and they stand, as I said before, one on either side of the gate." He goes on to describe the inner sanctum of the gardens, writing, "Within the gardens are all kinds of trees and flowers, and there are innumerable plants, and the soil is naturally and fruitful. There are also all kinds of birds, and there is water which flows in from a neighboring river. For this purpose, there is a leaden pipe, which conveys the water underground to a vast cistern that receives it. Water is raised up from the cistern by means of a screw pump, and the water falls from above and streams into the several terraces. Overall, there is a colonnade supported by pillars of red stone. The pillars are elegantly wrought, and overall there is a covering of cedar wood. Between the pillars are windows, through which the water that flows down from above is seen. Through these windows, also, visitors can look upon the lower grounds beneath. From every quarter, the gardens are surrounded by high walls, and the gate whereby the visitor enters is always kept shut. No one can enter the gardens without the permission of the king." There is another account of the Hanging Gardens written by the Greek philosopher and astronomer Strabo, who wrote in the 1st century BC. Strabo says that the gardens were laid out on an elevated brick platform, and this platform had been constructed by Nebuchadnezzar to please his wife. In fact, he claims that the entire project was started as an experiment to see if such a thing could be done. We can see that the Greeks held the Babylonian Empire as nothing more than a great evil, and therefore they made sure to point out that the gardens were the brainchild of a great king who was responsible for conquering many Greek cities. When describing the gardens, Strabo writes, "The heat here is very great, and that is the reason why he contrived this invention. For it is related that when he went out to war, he left his wife in Babylon, and she wanted to kill herself, being overcome by the heat. Whereupon he determined to make things more cheerful for her, and to adorn the city with all manner of trees, both summer and winter, and flowers and grass, and to surround the whole with high walls, lest wild beasts should come in and destroy them. Accordingly, he dug deep wells, and, by means of machinery, raised the water to the top of the platform, and then it flowed down through pipes into the several apartments, where it was distributed among the trees and flowers. And still it is preserved, being about 5 stories high and agreeable to the description which we have already given. The problem with these accounts is that they seem too good to be true. Like we said earlier, no physical evidence has ever been uncovered. The story of the Hanging Gardens, like the others, is a secondary account written by Greek scholars. And it's possible that the Hanging Gardens were simply a myth created by the Greeks to disparage the Babylonians. It's also possible that the Greeks exaggerated the gardens in order to seem more cultured. The Greeks considered themselves superior to the Babylonians and were proud of their culture. And beautiful places like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon must have seemed barbaric to them. This theory is supported by the fact that the Greeks never gave the credit to the Babylonians for building such a wonder. Instead, they preferred to take the glory for themselves. The idea that the Greeks were so cultured and civilized was part of their identity. Therefore, they would not give credit to someone else for creating something so beautiful. It's also worth noting that the Greeks wrote these accounts hundreds of years after the gardens were supposedly built. And while it's likely that the Hanging Gardens did exist, it's also possible that the details got lost in translation. Or the writers took some creative liberties when recounting the stories. Now, let's talk about what we do know. We know that there was a river near Babylon, the Euphrates River, and this is important because water would have been needed to irrigate the gardens. We also know that the Babylonians were advanced in mathematics and engineering. This is evidenced by their creation of the first known map of the heavens and their calculations of the length of a year. With this in mind, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that they could have created a system to irrigate hanging gardens. However, we must ask ourselves, if they were able to create such a complex irrigation system, why haven't we found any evidence of it? One possibility is that the gardens were destroyed by war or natural disaster. Another possibility is that they were never actually in Babylon at all. Some experts believe that the Hanging Gardens actually belonged to the Assyrian Empire and were located in a city called Nineveh, which is also located in Mesopotamia. But now let's assume that the Hanging Gardens did exist. What might they have looked like? We have a general idea from the accounts of the Greeks, but we don't know for sure. One thing that we do know is that there would have been a lot of plants from different parts of the empire growing in the gardens. This is because the Babylonians had conquered many lands and would have had access to rare plants from all over the known world. There would have been date palms, fruit trees, and flowering plants. The gardens would have smelled like incense and myrrh, and the air would have been filled with the songs of exotic birds. The question remains, did the Hanging Gardens of Babylon exist, or were they simply a product of the Greek imagination? Unfortunately, we may never know for sure. However, that doesn't stop us from appreciating the beauty of the gardens and the culture of the Babylonians. What do you think of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon? Do you think they existed, or were they just a figment of the Greeks' imagination? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to show your support. Subscribe to my channel for more videos about ancient archaeological finds.